grounds that you don't fucking pass. You know what I mean?
Or you're trying not to, at least.
But a lot of people don't realize that the people that founded the country weren't actually Christian per se. They were rational theists, largely, which is not really. It is Christianity, but it's not Christianity in the way that most people think it is. Does that make sense?
No. Yeah. No.
And there's some other, and I think that's kind of how I considered myself more as a rational theist, because okay, a Christian will read Genesis and just accept, oh, that's what happened, that's exactly how it happened, and that's how everything is, because that's what it says.
How do we win?
But if you take a rational theist, it's kind of more like, well, the book of Genesis is the first book, but Genesis was also written by Moses, and Moses wasn't really around then.
No.
So we kind of have to look at, you know, like for me, it's kind of like, because I did go to a Christian college, a private Christian college. It was a private school, but it was a Christian, you know, whatever. Not really a huge deal, but I took a religion course that was very, very objective, and I mean, we went all the way back to the ancient Sumerian religions and everything. It was not what anybody who from the outside would think it was. Okay, because you went to I bet you did learn about God, you know, from atheists or whatever. No, it was incredibly objective, which is what I wanted. You know, there was another course that I could have chosen, but you had to take something to satisfy it, you know. But anyway, but the professor basically had a point. There's truth and then there's fiction. It's kind of like, and the only way he put it was, you know, if you watch the movie Indiana Jones, you know, somebody went to him and was like, hey, I'm looking for truth. And it's like, well, if you're looking for truth, go down the hall to the philosophy class. This is anthropology, where we teach facts. We deal with factual information. It's kind of like, you know, the story about General Washington or George Washington.
When he said about the tree. Yeah.
He cut down the tree. I cannot tell a lie. I cut down the cherry tree. Like, are there anthropologists looking for a fucking cherry tree that he chopped down? Like, no.
Well, I know Jews are trying to find the sacred texts that show the right to their land. I know they're still digging.
But let's stick with the cherry tree though. Are there people looking for the cherry tree? No. But what was the point of the story? The point was that George Washington was he was trustworthy. That's the point. That's what the whole point was. Was the cherry tree a factual thing? Maybe, maybe not. Does it matter? No, because in truth he was trustworthy. You know what I mean? So you take a look at Genesis. Was Moses around then? No. But is there truth in Genesis? Was there not a time when mankind was childlike and did not know anything? I'm gonna go with the U.S. Army. Yeah, there was.
Still is.
Even if you look at Genesis and you break down the basics and then you look at the scientific theory, they agree with each other. They both agree that there was a time when mankind knew nothing. They agree that for whatever reason something happened to advance humankind very rapidly, and then you know, we became what we are today by some way. You know, that's just kind of what happened. We all believe that we became more divine. Even if you don't believe that there is any divine entity, you believe that we became more godlike, right?
You can say that.
It's like, look at now, we can make clones. I mean, we can create, like, it's kind of like, you know, you look at the book of Genesis. You know, Eve was made out of a rib from Adam's, you know, body, right? And woman translates to from man, right? So
yeah, supposedly.
So, well, but the thing is, okay, if God takes a rib from Adam and makes a woman, and we take a hair from a dog and we clone the dog, doesn't that make us, you know, more divine in a sense? As people, we become more godlike using knowledge. That was the big thing. It's just, it's in every society. You look at Greece, with the story of Prometheus, and then you look at the story of, you know, in the Garden of Eden with God and Lucifer in the Garden of Eden. It's essentially the same story. The difference being, the Greek story is more along the lines of the Gnostic ideology, whereas you know, where basically Prometheus, you know, sympathy for the devil, right? Prometheus and the devil, you feel sympathy for him. You feel sympathy for him in the Greek story because he's a victim, because all he wanted to do was help mankind by giving them fire, right? In the story of the Garden of Eden, the devil's bad because he lied to humankind, telling them that they're going to become like God, and you know, so on and so forth. So, but they're essentially telling the same story, like, and in both versions, mankind becomes more divine. You know what I mean? In one story, you know, the devil's evil, and the other one, we have sympathy for the devil because he was just helping us out, essentially.
I mean, when we go through the mythos itself, you know, yeah, that nuance and you know the varieties is there, but at the very stupidly rational level, you know, the whole thing still begs the question: why all of it to begin with? Like, why a creator would be so hell-bent on preventing you from doing your thing, even though they're omnipotent, omnipresent, all-knowing, and so on. It always bothers people. That bothers me as well.
That
Like,
what?
just like trying to stop somebody else from knowing things and doing things. That you know, it will always. That's I guess, you know, that's the problem I have, and people like myself. You know, it's like, again, if you're a creator, see, because we are in a position to create things and be close to a divinity in that sense. I think that we are. I think what really sets us apart is the fact that you know, we can choose people to do as they see fit, to learn what they want to learn and to know as much as they. Yeah. I don't know where I was going with this, but it's
no,
kind
I mean,
of, you know, yeah.
Well, I think I mean, knowledge should be free. That's why I like the world, like, in the sense of, like, let's say free internet, right? Not free internet, but internet neutrality, right?
Yeah.
Where basically you can't discriminate against somebody for what site they're going to and what data they're using, as long as it's within their plan and all this other in that, right? So, like, I kind of agree, and I kind of, in a sense, I understand the Greek mythology behind it. I do. But also, I also understand that it's kind of like in the Bible, there's a story of angels teaching magic to humans and telling them that it's forbidden. And it's not that it's necessarily knowledge is good or bad, and it's not that magic is good or bad, right? But it's that it's kind of like teaching sex to a 5-year-old. On the one part, the 5-year-old really doesn't fucking understand. It's not preoccupied with it. And at that particular time, it's not mature enough to know. Well, it's not that you don't ever want to tell them ever. It's that, you know, maybe there's a certain point where you want to wait until somebody's mature enough before you delve certain information to them. Do you understand?
No, it does. Yeah, put it that way. But again, I think it's very hard to accept something that predates you so badly. No, like you say, if you get an AI nowadays, and if you create a very powerful AI nowadays, and if it kind of tries to teach you things about math or theoretical physics or something, you know, you might actually use that analogy. You know, why do you need that information, or can you process it to begin with? But the very fact that information comes from thousands of years, you know, in times when you know, there was no knowledge of any of this, and that, you know, you take a phone now, you take it 1,000 years back, even 100 years back, and people would think you're some kind of an alien. It's just, it's not accounting for so much. It's not accounting for so much.
Well, it's like
it's.
Did you hear about that guy? He made an AI bot for Twitter. Oh shit. And
No, I haven't heard of that.
Well, basically, I haven't heard of that, and I'm not done yet. Did you hear about the guy that made a bot for Twitter? No, it was like on Twitter, and basically, all right, whatever the fuck happened. I don't know. I guess I died.
Get in the fight, soldier.
Whatever. Anyway, so this guy makes a bot and he gets investigated by, I can't remember, like the FBI or somebody, because basically
Recon is in the air.
this bot ends up saying, oh, I want to kill all humans. You know, and it's just a bot. It's just pulling random information and making statements based on that. And that just happened to be one of the things, just randomly saying, oh, I want to kill all humans. And, you know, get rid or whatever. I mean, the guy apologized for it, and he changed it, and, you know, this other stuff, but people are initially freaking out about it. But I'm just saying, like, it's kind of like, okay, if now that we're knowledgeable and we can create machines, we're somewhat divine, right? So if we make, let's say, a robot, and we give it artificial intelligence, and we give it the capacity to take life, but we don't teach it things that, like, there's a certain natural progression, and we don't have that mentality. Like, in nature, there's a certain progression with things. And when we make stuff, we just want it now. So, like, if we ever did make a machine that was able to do that stuff, and to have a consciousness of some kind, even artificial, I imagine we wouldn't really be teaching it responsibility necessarily, you know what I mean? So, I could definitely see us having, at least initially, some problems with a robot, you know, taking life, if it was able to. If it had an AI and it was able to take life of doing it and not necessarily seeing right or wrong, or, you know what I mean?
Well, it now all depends on whether we're trying to adjust the thing to be more like us, or whether we let it do its own thing. And
Well, we always create, we always project ourselves on other people.
Yeah.
And we
Forcibly,
always,
even if we have to. Yeah.
right, of course. And, well, even like, you ever have that one guy that's like, I mean, and sometimes, you know, obviously people do fucked up things, but like, it's like this one guy that's always accusing people of lying or cheating or stealing from people, from him. And then you look at that guy and you realize how fucked up they are once you actually learn more about them. And that's why they're always like, beware of people that are always suspicious, is what I'm saying. You know what I mean? You know, you're supposed to be wary of the person that's always suspicious of everybody, because they're usually the ones with the agenda. You know?
Especially of Mr. Brightside.
Oh, oops. My guy, my bad.
Wow, I hear people screaming and shouting. Oh, you're on the other team. Jack, you just killed me.
I did. Oh my god.
Wow. Okay, time to kill Jack now. And I think that, you know, I think differently. I think that, you know, instead of trying to shape the thing to be more like yourself, which just shows a great deal of self-importance and self-centeredness based on, because you were first, I suppose. You know, like, again, I mean, in a sense, if you look at, then, you know, God was first, basically, or whatever. He started everything, so he has a right to it all.
Hello, Variety Channel Colin. I'll just call you Colin for short, okay? Welcome to the viewership.
You know, when you look at it that way, yeah, it just shows a great deal of self-centeredness. Whereas I'm of the mindset that, you know, if you create a self-learning AI, you would have to allow it to do its own thing.
Yeah, you'd have to allow it to do its own thing to do what?
Well, for example, I
itself?
mean, first of all, it would probably, you know, if you create an AI that can learn on its own, it will go through information quicker than any human being can. So
right.
that's just a new dimension of thinking that's beyond us.
Do you think it would ever be too fast? There might be a reason why, or like, I think you're supposed to learn. It's like there's a certain timing to life, you know what I mean? There's a certain process, and when you make something artificial, it's not going through that, and I just wonder what the ramifications might be.
I'll tell you, it's just a new form of intelligence, that's all. It won't be good or bad, it will be just its own thing, you know.
Things are gonna happen. Pace. I mean, like, even people that make this shit are like, yeah, you know, we might all answer to machines one day, but if I don't do it, somebody else is going to, so I may as well. Like, that's legitimately the the mentality in the scientific community, you know, when they're making robots that are programmed specifically to be able to lie to humans.